Hello, this is Steve from Toronto. Today we're gonna look at an interview done by me and Roy. The interview is written by Clock1 Draw 2. It's a friend from our Toronto locals. The website is clock1draw2.com. You can find his blog here. He posts quite a bit actually. There's a lot of thoughts on his game and some decks that he features. So he gave us quite a few questions. The first part is introduction. She'd never done introduction on my channel either. But my notable placing is first place, WGP in 2016. So I won Del Signal. And then I got second place at English Regionals. This was a Bang Dream. I think it was 2018. And then for Roy, he got second in English Trios, 2018. And then he ran it back in 2019, got first place. This is also Trios. And then he got first place in New Jersey Trio this year, 2022. I'm not sure what this Toronto thing is. We didn't have Trio this year. This might be typo. Yeah, so basically 2 first place in trio and 1 second place. Okay, first question. Tell me about your history of Weiss Schwarz. When did you start the game? What was your first set? What made you interested in the game? I started this game back in 2014 after the English version of Angel Beats was released. Luckily, a shop nearby my school was selling singles, so I was able to upgrade my trial deck into a full deck. Shortly after, I began to visit local shops and met a friendly lot of players, including multiple veterans that also carry Japanese sets. The thrill and drive for competition is what kept me engaged with the game. In 2015, I bought my first Japanese deck, model called Magica, after the Rebellion set came out. And later 2015, I won. Wait. Oh, it's 2016. Okay, so 2 years after I played, I got the WGP win. Yeah, so when I started playing, there were 2 local shops. There were 2 locals, and then one of them was sell a lot of singles, so I upgraded Angel Beats deck. So that was really good for my learning curve. And 2015, I bought Maokai Rebellion. I think I bought some boxes from Amiyami, and then got some Sell cards from local. But a lot of people play Japanese in my local, so I was able to build like a Maoka deck. For Roy, I started playing the game casually around 2015, but I became more competitive around 2017. I started the game when I picked up an English trial deck at an anime convention to play with my high school friends. Eventually, I went to a local game store and bought some booster boxes to build both English sets of Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, and Nisekoi. My first Japanese deck was Gochusa back in 2016. I've always been a fan of card games, particularly that of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Hearthstone. What really draws me to watch is the fact that I can play a game following my favorite anime titles. Yeah, classic Weiss. I even got baited by anime. I actually played Nisekoi English quite a while too when I started. So I think it also came out like 2015, and I played English for quite a while, and the deck was actually fine at the time, even though it's a nerd version of Japanese. The cards were still pretty strong. Okay, second question, what's your favorite set? What's your favorite card? My favorite set that I have spent the most money on, actually I think I just said I spent the set I spent the most money on is Project Sekai. And then the set I played the most is Bang Dream. So Sekai came out this year, bought a bunch of SSPs, so they don't have SPs. And then Bang Dream had a bunch of sets, so I like played a lot of iterations. I think I have at least 5 or 6 Bang Dream decks sleeved. And I think other than that will probably be Hololive. So Hololive I also went through like 4 or 5 decks. 4 or 5 builds, something. And then the favorite card I pick is Himari level 3 from Circus Anniversary. is mainly because it's from Dell Signal, and I want WGP Dell Signal. So, and the art looks really nice. But other than that, I don't really know what to pick. Maybe other than that, I'll pick Kohane from Project Sekai. I also have that as SP, and then yeah, really into Project Sekai these days. And that card is on standby, so you know, standby is still the thing. Okay, Roy said, my favorite set of all time is Sword Online. The set has quite a few toolbox mechanic and great cards overall while being my favorite anime. My favorite card is the Yukilo one from first Extra Booster. In every training card game I play, I love mechanic or toolboxing the most. Yuki was such a great combo that gives player both advantage while compressing a deck and giving you information to plan ahead in the following turns. Yeah, Yuki was pretty popular back in the day. Like, Sal was popular, so a lot of people played it at locals too. But Yuki, yeah, Yuki was pretty good back then. But right now, yeah, now it's an old card. Third question, what do you think about the current Japanese set? What are the most powerful set around now? Why? Are there any profile in the game that are problematic? Okay, so we wrote this, so I wrote this with interview at end of October before Pixar came out. So it's like a month old now. So some of it might be dated, but not so much. A new balance hasn't came out yet. So, but only shifted slightly. So I said Bushido has pretty consistent at making half the new set mediocre and half of them relevant. They're trying to not put new standby decks. There hasn't been a better standby deck than Pre-Ban Mushoku and Quinns from 2021. The selling point of new sets these days are crazy level 3 finishers or super efficient level 0 with stacked effects. Yeah, so they don't really print better standby decks. There are standby decks in new set. They're just worse than like Mushoku or Quinns. There's like the problem with standby is they're usually low-length decks, and then to power creep them, you have to increase their power level. And then I think they really don't want to increase the raw power level of cards these days. So basically, if your walls is smaller than like the older decks, then like your deck's not that good. So well, yeah, so these good standby don't really come out. It's a lot easier to balance around burst power. That's why you print 1k1 decks with like burst power 1-0s. Like burst power 1-0 crazy these days, but it doesn't matter. It's easier to balance. The standby decks, walling decks, it's very hard to balance. A lot of power creeps from modern Weiss is because they introduced standby. That's how we got here. So they don't really try to print those. But now Overlord is coming out, so we'll see how that one does. But yeah, so you see good standby deck comes out, and then like Japan just hops on it. It's like some people just like standby decks, and then they don't really print a lot of them, so common people just play it. Yeah, and then for 1k1 decks, it's just crazy level 3 finisher, stack level 0s. Yeah, so 1k1 decks are these days. And then here, I also talk about Desai. So Desai went too far with early play healing finisher. The Ronald package has no opportunity cost. You don't need to choose between playing towards mid game by healing or playing towards level 3 finishers. You just do both at level 2, not to mention the flexibility you have for fast and slow games. In fast games, DL4 can punish hard, while healing can extend your lead. In slow games, the deck compresses well with memory and stock charge, while healing plus refresh extend the advantage even more. Early play finishers are fine, but just don't print them. Just please don't print heals on them. Yeah, so that sums up my thoughts about this card. The last sentence. Just don't print early play healing finisher. This is just a bad combination of effects. But it just does everything, and then there's no opportunity cost. Like early play finishers, like even back in the day, Konosuma set 1 had Eris early play, and it restands, and then those were already viable. And then if you put healing on it, it just gets out of hand. Stuff like Sinful Gear also got banned because of this. It's early play healing finisher, and then it's just too good. This is always good, so it just always your plan, always your game plan, and then there's no downside. Okay, Roy said, I think the current Japanese sets are in a pretty good spot aside from a few outliers, decide Quints. The game as a whole is quite aggressive due to the number of 1k1 decks floating around and people being able to try them and drop a climax every turn. I think the current best sets are Decide and Quints. Other sets do propose some options to beat those sets, but those two aforementioned sets have all the tools available with many free pluses and compression options. I think he's talking about A Standby Quints. I think this was before movies that came out. Yeah, so when everyone's playing 1k1 decks, the meta is actually pretty balanced because the power discrepancy to 1k1 decks, or like modern 1k1 decks, are not that big. Basically, any deck can win. And then, so the problem is like to balance 1k1 decks between standby, because Weiss don't have triangle meta. It's just 1k1 and standby. So usually it's really easy to tell which one's better. Okay. Well, Disa is getting banned in December for sure, 100%. Quints probably. Just depending on how hard they hit it. This deck probably dead. There might be, I don't know. It's probably still playable, but like it won't be like tier 0. What do you think about the latest ban list? I was just talking about. Number 4, what do you think about the latest ban list? Was it effective? Would you make, I think this will say, would you make any changes yourself? Why? So I said, I think the 4 ban list per year system as a whole is kind of wacky. They ban all sets in December and June. However, during March or September, when players are looking forward to changes, but shows don't do anything. I don't have any general problem with the ban list since they have traditionally been quite predictable. The biggest variance with these bans is how hard they hit the set. The worst case with these ban lists was when sets remained meta after the ban list, like Day Live or Love Live Superstar. A recent change that I don't agree with were the bans and limitation of solidation have been banned due to the constant push of newer and better 1k1 decks. I think that if they were to ban solidity, it should hit Hololive as well for being around the same power level. Okay, so they started doing 4 bans a year after COVID, and then they banned nothing last time in September. So it looks like the trend is just they're doing December and June, which is what they did before, which is December and June. So they ban most things here, and then these are just kind of emergency things, which I guess is fine. It just people gets their hopes up. Everyone thought this was getting banned in September. Yeah, and then I buy a lot of sets, so I don't really care what they ban. And then what they ban is usually just what's popular in Japan, so you can tell by looking at Twitter usually. So it doesn't really matter. Like one set ban, just hopped on the next one. Well, at least for me, I'm not the type of guy who buys like 2 sets a year, and then if the one you buy gets hit, then like I'm kind of tragic. Yeah, so the problem is usually when they hit stuff and it's still meta. Like if I hit Dow, it's like 4 sets hit, like Sal, Grisaya, and Saikano. And then Dow got hit the least, so it was still meta, because the other 3 competition got like gutted. And Superstar was the infamous 3-0 event, or like the 3-6 thing. They like didn't kill the combo completely, and like they killed the 3-6 thing, but they didn't kill like the package. You can just do it when you're not 3-6. And then that was still a problem. People just hate that combo or whatever. And then this was the June list, so Assault Lily randomly got hit. And then the Meta 1k1 deck design was Whole Life and Assault Lily, and only Assault Lily got hit. So I thought that was unfair. I think they should not hit Assault Lily, but just clearly better 1k1 decks are coming out, like D-side. Like 1k1 decks is a power group anyways. Like, and then, but they only hit Assault Lady. So I think they should hit both or hit none. I think I would prefer hit none. Like, even looking at now, like even Contour Marine's not like meta in Japan anymore. Like that was on like the same power level as Assault Lady. So this shows that like 1k1 decks are just power grouping out. And people just like to play new stuff anyways. So you don't really need to hit them. Okay, so Roy said, I think the last ban list was ineffective, especially since they banned anything. So this was the September list, because they didn't hit D-side. D-side, although overrepresented in the meta, was not banned at all, since none of their sets was dominating at the time. Said D-side was generally held as the best deck in the format, so player hoping that would hit so all their decks shine a little more. If I had the ability to change that ban list, I would have banned D-side, especially targeting the 8 arc Rondo package and the Brainstorm. Okay, whatever that means. Yeah, people just thought D-side was gonna hit, but didn't get hit. But yeah, it says D-side still played during JP, so we'll get hit in December. Although they did, Quinn's movie was pretty on par with D-side. So I guess they're outliers, so they're probably all getting hit. Number 5, what do you think are the upcoming most power sets? Why? Pixar's Woody and Buzz finisher is really absurd. The cost of Climax is way too cheap for what it does. Love Light Nijigasaki has the same effect on a 3-4 event, putting Climax into Clock's one of the most unfun things to play against. Yeah, so this was before Pixar came out when I wrote this. Everyone thought this card was absurd. The effect is end of attack, you pick one ditch character, and then your opponent reveal top 6 cards of their deck, and then shuffle them back, and then they clock equal and then a CX they reveal. It's very similar to where is I was down there. It's very similar to this card from Superstar, the 3-0 event. This was the infamous one that got the banned a lot. I think Japan, yeah. Although I think Bushido was actually okay at balancing the set. The set has mid-game problems at level 1, level 2. So this set didn't pop out as high as I thought it would. So I guess it's okay, but it still doesn't really justify how a 3-4 event turned into a pay 1 ditch character combo. Kind of bizarre. So I think they're like other 3-4 event, and then they turn into like pay 4 combo. Sorry, pay 4 effect on level 3. So if you Climax on usually 1 cost less, so they'll be pay 3 at least. So this effect, if I were designing, should have been at least pay 2 ditch 1. But ended up being pay 1 ditch character, which is kind of absurd. But I guess they end up balancing the set okay with poor mid game, so set didn't pop off. So this effect's not fun to play against, putting Climax in the clock. So Roy, so we're still on question 5. What's the most powerful set? Roy said, I think the movie set for Quinn's coming up is very powerful. The tools and strong Climax combo from the previous 2 modern sets fits very well with this new support. The older sets contains already powerful tools that only come any further with this new booster. I also think Pixar seems to have all the tools needed to have powerful decks aided by a very strong finisher like William Buzz. So I'm not sure if he wrote it after Quinn's came out, so I'm not sure if he's talking about Quinn's 8 gate or 8 standby. But either way, 8 standby getting support was something. Just it was mad that I got banned and then got support. I actually got decent support, especially for like level 0s to replace with. and yeah, we thought Pixar was gonna be really good. It does have really good low zeros and low threes, but I think not having a good mid game, not having good level 1 combos are like really detrimental to 1k1 decks. Not having like good 1 game just doesn't cut it. Number 6, what particular profile that you like / hate or think are beneficial / harmful to the game? I think that Aqua Riki is a very good profile for the game. It helps the player going second a lot, toning down the advantage of going first. However, instead of providing this profile to every set in the game, Visual has consistently printing runners, which only adds to the going first advantage. So I play Hololive, and what other set? No, I only play Hololive. And then I think if going second lets you try lane, it fixes the going second problem. So it's usually going second these days is you swing twice, and then next time you try to swing 3 times. So 2 attack and 3 attacks. Going first is you swing once, and then you try to swing 3 times after. But so going second still, you're still behind on damage multiplier. But if you can try lane going second, it really helps the fact that you're at a disadvantage. So I think they should have printed this more. Aqua being 3-5, it's kind of really strong, so I think printing on other stuff, like printing on bombs is fine. You can even print on utility cards. So I think this probably help going second. Make trying going second easier, but they keep shooting runner, which only helps going first. Which, I don't know, dice roll format, not really a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Roy said, I'm not too fond of Aqua Riki profile. Huh. Aqua makes far too much advantage in the current game as counts are... What? In the current game as turn counts are lowering due to the power of current decks. Since the current meta game promotes tri-lane and slamming 1k1 clients every turn, Aqua allows more aggressive plays with low drawback. In games where both players have access to the profile, the game became more even, but in other scenarios, the winning variant shifts closer to the player with access to the profile. Well, that's like saying decks with Wingsworns are better than decks without Wingsworn. So the solution is clearly just get every set Aqua. And I don't think tri-laning and slamming 1k1 every turn has direct correlation with Aqua profile. This is just consistency. Makes you more consistent, so you can just slam 1k1 every turn. Tri-laning is also consistency. A lot has to do with like unplayer Riki and stuff. Like 1 attacking 3 attacks is very easy. Like almost everyone then can do it. Going second, 2 attacking 3 attack is harder. It's basically you need to draw more zeros. As for other card type, these effects seem like anti-conversion tools that push gameplay differently to traditional ways of playing the game. In a traditional game, players were rewarded for having compression and limiting the number of non-climax in their deck to help with canceling. Even with introduction of the Icy Tail profile through Michiru, this card, the anti-conversion skill was still mitigated for the most part by having high compression rates. Okay, I think this might have been over-edited, and I don't know what it's talking about. But as of late, the anti-compression finishers check far too many cards, reducing uncancelled damage and or cause higher amounts of damage per check or burn, giving the receiving player little to no chance of survival. This in turn suggested that player try less to compress their deck, leaving their deck more to chance in hopes they have enough flak in their deck to whiff those climax checks to survive. Compression is no longer as wanted as before, or even unwanted in most cases. The power level of these finishers has become ridiculous to the point where players can expect to potentially lose by the time they reach level 2. The game feels like you're putting on bad decks state to rock cancel on top of your deck to vanilla swings, turning the game to unfortunately pure gamble. I don't know, I bet it's kind of like a rant. Where do I start? Right. This is true. There's some finisher they say can just kill you from 2 with like minimal resources. For example, if for Marine here, even though Marine's only burned 2-3 times, it just does it so consistently, it just like randomly kills you sometimes from 2-5 or something, or just kill you sometimes. Oh, Marine's here. And then there's some ridiculous finisher like Pekko. Pekko's really crazy damage output potential, or like Rondo has crazy damage output potential because it's burn 4. This color, and then stuff like 8-gate Quince Itsuki. That color has damage crazy potential output. It's burn 3 Mocha 2. It kills people straight up. So that is true, but that's balanced around, I don't know, 1k 1 decks or something. I don't agree with the part where like you're trying not to compress to live. I think he was referencing to Icy Tail especially. So if you have a compressed deck, you would just die to Icy Tail. But I think that's a misconception. I think the way you should think about Icy Tail is if you have no climax on the top of your deck, so that means they're on the bottom, right? So if you have no climax on the top, you just take more damage. And then if you think about it, it's like, if you think about it, it's like you would took it anyways. It's just like they are the bottoms, and then the effect punish you have them the bottom, so it makes you feel worse because they're the bottom. But like you like there are cases where like if they're climax on the bottom, you would die anyways to stuff like Marine. So I'm usually not too salty dying to ICDO kind of effect, so they're on the bottom anyways. You won't have cancel with it unless it's like a small deck. And yeah, Pekko, Pekko mills top. So mills top usually feels worse, but it's not a different mechanic than Icy Tail. These ones just have variants, so they're like okay. The superstar events on cancel damage, so this is not anti-compression. And then this Kanta from Niji, this card is really strong against cantrip. And then the numbers are really good, so it burns 3 and it mills 7. So usually take a refresh damage in between. So 3/3 plus refresh kills people. I think an upside is cantrip. I think I'm gonna talk about cantrip after. Cantrip finish is really strong these days. And then anti-compression tool. I think stock. He didn't talk about stock flush, stock swap or Fumio. Stock swap, there's counterplay, so I think it's the best comeback mechanic in the game, I would say. But I think a lot of decks don't even need it these days. How the pace of the game is. People don't compress as much, but I don't think it's because people try not to compress. It's just the game's faster, so your win con isn't compression. It's not like you're trying to not compress. Yeah, I don't think this is true. Like the games I play, I still like try to refresh with more CXs. And then Fumio's win more card. I think Fumio's more problematic card. Because it's the win more card. Like usually Fumio's good if your opponent hits 3 first, dump a bunch of resources, and then you didn't die, so you Fumio them. So with more card, more problematic. Combo back then, like stock swaps are fine. I actually think like you can print stock swap every set and then wouldn't change too much. But usually sets without stock swap, they give them better finishers. Usually, not always the case. But a lot of decks don't need stock swap these days. Number 7, where do you think the direction of the game is going? How do you feel about current game in general? I think Bushville is considered with their card design. As long as standby doesn't get much support, I don't expect much change. Just power creep on existing stuff to look for in the new sets. 1 cantrip finisher, 2 effect stacking with level 0 to 3 effects, and 3 choose 2 effects and pick 1. Well, on both early play and level 1 climax combos. A lot of powerful finishers nowadays could use cantrip abilities over general healing. This would be a more subtle way to power creep finishers than printing straight up better combos. Level 0 has been the focus of power creeping the past 2 years. Every set has good advantage gaining level 0 now. They're so good that clean cut profile doesn't see much play anymore. Now with effect stacking, level 0s are getting up to 3 effects, like utility effects with 2 timings. So the example of the card is Yui from the new South set. So you can drop search on play or also waiting room. Then on play you can ditch your character draw card. The game has been faster, less turn per game. The game has been faster, less turns per game than 2 years ago, and there's no way back. It's been mostly due to level 0 power creep, where every deck gains more early advantage and become more consistent. I think it's better than a slow format where people just play to not lose. It was either compression through stock memory or looping multiple early play heals back then. Sets without stock swap was a significant disadvantage in slow format, but that's not the case with faster games. Okay, so back to the design part. So cantrip finishers, yeah, the secondary ones like Marine, it makes your finisher more consistent. You don't have to spend extra resources to get climaxes. And then yeah, 2 pick 1 is like a subtle way to power creep things. And then effect stacking is just higher consistency. This is one of the reasons why games are faster, because everyone can just get their main gameplay going, so you can just slam cards and then post back. So Roy said, I think Weiss is becoming faster and more efficient. Efficiency is a keyword for power creeping 2021 to 2022 season. Every good deck have multiple posting option and combo to maintain hand advantage. Finishes become essentially free in terms of resource costs, or they're insanely resource efficient like Marine from Hololive. Deck with cheap hand fix options and strong finisher costs, low resource have become really powerful. Power at level 3 has quickly entered the level 2 area with Hololive and D-side as perfect example, healing down early and also pushing damage while maintaining advantage. I'm not sure what Hololive this is referring to, so I don't recall a level 2 finisher in Hololive. I don't think contact counts. And then yeah, he said efficiency is a keyword. It's all tied to consistency. I was talking about consistency. And then it is true that finishers are more efficient. Finishers are just cheaper these days. Like Burn 4 used to be pay 2 ditch 1, and then Rondo can pay 1 ditch 1 with the condition. And the Marvin is pay 1 ditch character, and then on play effect refunds you hand and stock. Well, stock for sure, hand basically, because the cards on board turn to a hand. So it's also really cheap. In order for decks to remain strong in the current metagame, they need level 0 stock plus options such as Riki or Aqua Effect, great level 0 or 1 posting combo, nice hand fix, and good main face mill effects. They must also have powerful and low cost finisher that ideally come out early as well. Players are incentivized to employ multiple early play to heal down and stay ahead in damage while pushing their opponent early to level 3. Finisher must also be able to kill your opponent from 3-0. Lastly, you simply must pray to survive if your opponent finishes when they hit 3. I think fast seems relative fun, but I worry that power creep will force these games to become way too fast and into a game of soul rushing with too much dependence on the RNG of the first deck for cancels. And then I don't think this is true. Not every deck's main plan is to loop early play heals. It's just every deck has it these days. So if you know you're hitting your opponent to level 3, you can heal. And everyone plays 4 or more these days. 2 or less is kind of like dead. I don't think this is a deck building requirement to pray that you survive. Okay, last question, number 8. What are your thoughts on secondary formats? Japan runs title cup for release tournaments and side events at regionals. The whole live title cup turnout was really good in Toronto due to the foil PR pricing. The extra pricing incentive was a nice touch. I think it's a good idea that Visual English is trying title cups for other sets as well, and I hope to see more of these events in the future. So yeah, whole live turned out really good in Toronto. I guess the PR worth an entry fee, and then whole live pop all the titles, so you would just play title cup anyways. Oh, actually it was a good set, so a lot of people bought it. Even they didn't watch whole live. And then I think the title cup's running now, you just get an extra PR and a sender marker if you win. So there isn't like too much incentive. But I mean, if they run it. It's not, there's not much harm to not run it. And then Japan runs title cups at regionals. But I think it's because the regionals only 5 rounds. So people drop if you go X2 anyways, and then just play the side events on round 3. But I think English format is different, where people don't necessarily drop going X2. Okay, Roy said, in terms of secondary formats, I do enjoy trios, waifu, and legacy tournaments. They do all have their own individual merits. Trio invites players to meta games slightly different compared to that of the usual single tournaments while winning with their teammates. Waifu tournaments are fun, which gives a casual feel and lets player play around their favorite character. Lastly, legacy style tournaments give this sort of time machine feel where people can enjoy old style of getting back in an older format where these cards are less powerful. I think secondary formats are great to give a good change of pacing tournament structure, adding further enjoyment to players at other locals. So trio is a thing. English does run this as well. Waifu is probably the most common thing outside of that, but I don't know. Quinn's waifu decks are really strong these days. It just turns into a Quinn's Cup sometimes. Legacy, you don't see much, but people have ran this before. It just depends on your player base. Your player base have old cards, you can run this as well. Yeah, and then that's all the questions here. So if you want to check out the blog yourself, you can check the description for the link. And you can also check out the other things on this blog. So there's a lot of his thoughts on the game. I think he even covers some of the questions that we talk about. Like, I think he talked about the Aqua profile, so you can read his thoughts on it, not just me and Roy. Yeah, and he has some featured decks. I think he really likes to build theme decks, so there's quite a bit of theme decks too. Yeah, so check out Clock 102, and then that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. If any questions or suggestions, please leave a comment. Thank you.